Hello and good evening. We're here for our Enterprise at 8 rewatch podcast where we go through every episode of Star Trek Enterprise and talk about it. Tonight's episode, Twilight, from Enterprise's third season, episode 8, the ongoing Xindi arc. I'm Dave Mader, and I'm joined with Kevin Millard tonight. How are you doing, Kevin?
Good.
We're
Good
here
episode.
streaming live. Yeah, I like this one too. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. You might be listening to us on audio version. Normally, Jody Simpson would be here introducing us, but there's a bit of a snowstorm today where we live. And speaking of, and we figured he might be stuck in traffic, but wait.
Nope, there he is.
Hi. Sorry, give me 1 second here.
Hey, did you get stuck in traffic?
No, the wife did.
Oh, yeah.
Talking her through it. All right. Sorry about that. Let me just get set up. Even close to
Adam is having technical difficulties.
Oh, one of these times.
He says the browser has blocked your camera and mic, and then it's telling him to click the camera icon and hit.
Yeah, it's in his. It's if he's using Google Chrome, it's in his the address bar.
He says he's done it many times, so I don't know. This is more your
close all the windows.
Close all the windows.
Close all the Google windows. Open up the Google window, and then open StreamYard again, and then tell it to give it permissions.
Jody just explained it. Just explained it on the stream.
So there you
go. Close the windows and what?
And then just open up one Google Chrome, and then it should show up like a little camera icon.
Yeah.
And you right-click on that camera icon and then tell it continue allowing.
As much as technical troubleshooting makes for awesome podcasting, we should probably get into the episode at hand, Twilight. Jody,
I do have an intro.
Okay.
So I guess I might as well. I wrote it and then this came up. All right. So let's pretend like we just started. Good evening, and it's Monday, which means it's time for Enterprise at 8. Did somebody finally get in? Oh, Adam got in finally. Great. Excellent. All right. Anyway, this is Live Long and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise rewatch series. It's been about 20 years.
20 years?
That's right, Twip. 20 years since tonight's episode Twilight first aired, but we're just getting started here at Enterprise at 8. I'm Jody Simpson, and with me is my co-host and the man who won't scare the hell out of you, unlike Rosemary's Baby, Adam Woodward.
Hey, you guys. Hey, I'm working on my phone tonight, so see how that
goes. It is what it is, right?
Yeah. Your microphone is a little off, but...
it's
the
better
phone?
than nothing. Yeah, it's a phone. And, of course, tonight, joining Adam and I are Live Long and Podcast awesome producer and the man who didn't get his own ship when Archer was gone, but should have, Dave Mader.
Yeah, I'm like Hoshi. Well, at least I didn't get Mayweather's fate, who gets killed and not even mentioned. He's killed in this episode, Jody, and they don't even care.
No. Well, it's Mayweather, so nobody really does. And of course, who could forget the man who would never just run up the white flag, Kevin Millard.
Never give up.
Never
surrender.
It's the Goonies motto, and it's your motto as well. Anyway, tonight's episode is Twilight. This is the 59th episode of the series. This episode is about the effects of the Delphic Expanse anomaly leaves Archer unable to form any new long-term memories. 12 years later, he wakes up one morning and is stunned to learn the outcome of the human-Xindi conflict, including the loss of Earth and the near annihilation of the human race.
Whereas he has always had trouble forming long-term friendships.
Yes.
Well, it's because he walks by everybody all the time while he's talking.
Always on the move. Always on the move.
He's always on the move. Exactly.
I'm curious to hear what Kevin thought of this episode.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I like.
Kevin's just blowing my mind through this entire series.
I like this idea. I love the moment when Phlox realizes that the parasite is gone from all time.
Right.
That's pretty cool shit.
Yeah, but yeah, like I had some questions about like the timey-wimey thing of it all, but I think
Wow.
that it worked pretty well for me. I had seen this before. This was one of the episodes I did remember, and I think it's maybe my favorite Enterprise episode, other than the Mirror Universe episode. It's pretty strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that I like about the episode is you almost get the impression that it might actually just be like a fever dream. Like, it's not necessarily this is exactly what happened. It could be just Archer was in a coma.
Well, as you see Earth get destroyed to start off this episode, you're like, it's kind of like when, in like Cause and Effect in the Next Generation episode where we
Yes.
see the Enterprise blow up in the teaser, and we're like, well, the Enterprise is like, they got to have their crew here for the show, right? Like,
this seems like a very short episode.
yeah, is this how they're in the Next
Everybody's
Generation? Yeah. But then it was the time.
The best thing about this entire episode is nobody cares about Mayweather. I think that should just tell everybody exactly.
There's
how
not
evil
even
that
a
character is.
eulogy for him at all. It's
No.
just
Well,
like,
I kind of think it's what we all missed him.
I didn't miss him.
Well, I wondered where he was. I just say I don't think I missed him.
I didn't. I just assumed he was fixing a transporter or something.
yeah.
I didn't even notice he wasn't there.
Exactly. That is my point.
Yeah, let's run through the. I took about 400 screenshots here. We'll try to get them through them quick. Starts off here with Archer waking up in bed, shirtless, of course.
Well, of course.
What is that rumble? He thinks, and we don't know anything, right?
Like, that damn deck plate again.
Yeah, I told Trip to fix that dick plate and to fix my chair.
And he told me next Tuesday.
Yeah. He pops out here, and then there's like the security guard he meets outside his quarters. I was told to keep you in your quarters. He's like, what? So like the confusion of Archer matches that us of the audience, because we don't know what's going on either. And this guy's just like, well, it's kind of a hard to explain in a few seconds. And I didn't get a shot, but he just punches this guy out and keeps going or whatever.
As soon as he says the captain ordered me.
The captain, he goes, I'm the captain. What do you mean? So he's
Like,
going
I'm
here.
the captain now.
And we see here for the first time ever, and maybe since, we see DePaul in a proper Starfleet uniform. And this is for a guy who loves uniforms, guys. This was a big thing for me, because I was like, damn right, why can't she have a uniform? And seeing her as captain here is really awesome.
Well, they give out field commissions to like Wesley. Why not her, right?
Exactly.
Right. Other than she's the first non-human in Starfleet, which is nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of a big deal here. Even though this.
No, Dave, I'm saying I really like seeing her in that uniform. I thought she looked great in the captain's chair.
Yeah.
No question that she's in charge.
But Archer's going to
I
show off
think
his
the show
abs.
would have been great going forward with just having crazy Archer roaming the ship, telling stories, and just getting in the way.
I used to
That'd
be
great.
captain of this ship.
Yeah.
You
can't be
I
afraid
used
of the
to be
wind.
captain.
Yeah,
I'm good for at least 8 episodes of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Just give me the rest of this season. That'd be fine. Yeah.
If he's just like wrestling people in the background with his shirt
of
off.
every scene.
Yeah.
But I'm the captain.
So, yeah. Hey, Trip, I had this great idea. Oh, you told me that last week, Captain.
Yeah.
Right. And then we see here, oh look, they're attacking. We see the great weapon that we've been looming at, that they're going to build to destroy Earth, and that's exactly what we see play out here. This is what's going to happen if the Enterprise does not succeed in their mission. For those out there, Earth, the planet we live on, is destroyed. In this dramatic and fantastic way. Visually, this holds up really well, I think. Even though it's pretty quick to see how fast this weapon just decimates the planet.
Just goes to show you how good this weapon is.
Yeah, boom, boom, and that's.
Wonder if they called it Starkiller Base.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And watching it all play out here, and they see the planet destroyed, and Archer is just like, "What the hell is going on?" That's your teaser, Star Trek Enterprise. Let's get into it.
It's been a long road.
What the hell?
Anyway.
Yeah. Come back, Archer. Now gray-haired old man wakes up here, and we get the name of this episode, Twilight.
And when he first wakes up, I'm like, oh god, this better not be that episode like Picard had where he like plays the fucking flute half the time. Oh man. Inner Light.
Yeah, you were worried it was gonna be an inner
I
light.
was worried it was gonna be Inner Light because I totally forgot about this episode.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh,
He's got like a little place to live here. He's seeing how he's older now.
they
we'll
did a
find-
good job aging most of the people on the cast. And
Yeah.
then they left Linda Park like basically looking identical because let's be honest, she's gonna age very nicely anyway. So,
Well, she was
Leave
just
it
on
to
For All
Paul.
Mankind, and she pretty much looks the same.
oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
she's got some great genes in her there.
yeah. They basically give her a new haircut in this.
Yeah, they're like, we'll just give you a bob haircut and we'll call it a day.
That's what they did with everyone. Everyone just got new haircuts.
Well,
some got gray.
no,
though.
they some of them had like noticeable makeup on to make them look older though.
You see
They-
a little
they-
like
they-
at the
They keep doing this Archer and T'Pol stuff. I don't like this.
like
I
them
don't-
being romantic or whatever.
Yes,
or-
I can't stand it. Probably because I know that that's not how it goes.
And,
Right.
and this is also another reason why I think that this is more of a fever dream in his head kind of thing than an actual thing that plays out, right? Like you can really leave it to interpretation, I think. Even the ending in this makes you
Yeah.
kind of think that, yeah. So it's like, is this just a fever dream in his head while he's, unconscious and, he really does have feelings for her, which is not uncommon, I guess, but
So it's unfortunate that this is such a good episode because I now have to go.
Okay. Do you want to tell us your rating?
Yeah, this is a 10. 10 for me. I
What?
loved it all
What?
the way through.
Yeah, wow.
a 10. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I love a good story and with twists and fucking it's good. It's really good.
All
even
right.
even the allusions to Battlestar Galactica when they're flying to that planet, still good.
Okay, but you might want to temper your 10 because the fun facts that I'm sure Adam will get to, I looked up. One of them is that the writer of this episode, Mike Sussman, got a copy of the Battlestar Galactica pilot script before it came out, like one that Ronald D. Moore did, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like, he read it and he's like, well, he took inspiration from this, in
Yeah,
some way,
great.
right?
Still good. 10.
Still a 10. Okay.
All right. See you guys.
Good luck
See
getting
ya.
Jack. Okay. All right. So we get the flashback here where it's explained to us of like, how did Archer get this amnesia or this like memory problem that he's doesn't have here? And we see that there's like this anomaly coming through.
That right there is the scariest thing in this entire episode. Did you see that? Go back one. Oh my God, Reed's in the captain's chair.
I know. I'm looking a little too confident.
That's scary.
With a goatee. You put a goatee on the guy.
Well, he doesn't
Then
have a
he's the
goatee
captain.
yet, but he
No.
will later on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we see like the spatial anomaly, which we're accustomed to at this point because this has been doing this in the Expanse for a while.
They
But
really
yeah.
got to do something about this hall.
Yeah. Right. And they get thrown here. T'Pol gets her leg crushed by this bulkhead that falls over.
Yeah.
And then Archer kind of comes over and tries to lift it up, but they're still dealing with the spatial anomalies throughout this. I thought Jolene Blaylock did a great, like, just for a Vulcan who wouldn't want to show pain, so I think she's showing just the right amount for me, in terms of how she's reacting to the pain.
Yeah,
but-
she's not overreacting to it, but she's clearly showing emotion, which
and
she's
yeah,
trying to not do, but she is. So it's-
yeah,
she's a great actress. Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
we've always said it, and it's still true.
and Archer has to like lift this thing up, but in the act of like lifting this up and the amount of time it takes him to lift this up and get her free, that's just the amount of time that goes by while this anomaly comes out, hits him, and yeah, like knocks him over, and we see it kind of go through his brain here, and this is how he gets infected with these parasites that are going to make his long-term memory impossible. Basically, that's the only thing it does to him. That's the only like other ill effect from this.
See, but it's so strange, Dave, to me. There was like a wave that went through the ship here,
Yeah.
and both of them survive. And meanwhile, the ship's fallen down around them. Anyway, I find this very...
Well, the science of it all is a bit. You have to sort of take a little bit of a leap here, but
Yeah, I like what they did. Like I said it before, what they did in Next Gen was much more interesting to me.
And then we come to sick bay, and Archer wakes up, dealing with Phlox. Phlox is acting not. He's acting kind of like timid or hesitant here. Something's up. He's not quite saying everything because Archer's just like, well, okay, I'm fine. And
Going back to work, going to get my boots.
Yeah, he gets his boots and he goes, hey, when was the last time you talked to Trip? He was like, this morning at the meeting. He's like, well, actually, the accident was 3 days ago. And you can see here that your brain's been infected with these parasites that make your making new long-term memories possible.
But even that scene, like, like Archer seems just, the doctor is acting very strange. Like, this is not typical Dr. Phlox, and he's still trying to get dressed and ready to go, and maybe he should hear what happened. He just had a major accident.
Yeah. Well, Archer is, he's on his mission to save humanity and Earth, and so he's
true.
He's like what do you mean and whatever, but there's also this sadness that comes over him as he's realizing what the affliction is about and what's going on here, and Phlox is very serious. He's like, I will keep looking for a cure and everything else. But we come along, we get more narration as T'Pol of the future is telling Jonathan in that time, like, the story about how they would tell him what was going on at breakfast, and they would try to have meetings. And here, like, Archer tries to give these specs to Trip. He's like, this might help with the impulse engines or whatever. But then he's like, yeah, you gave this to me like a week ago. Like, I did put them in, but if you were like, I think if you're trying to have a long-term relationship with somebody who can't form long-term memories, there's going to be obviously this conflict that's going to come up, and this you're not going to be able to ever progress the relationship, right? As T'Pol will come to find out very much over this alternate timeline where she becomes his caretaker, and Phlox even says it a line like, he knows so much about him, but he can't really know as much about you. Only what he knew up until the point of the accident, right? So I think Bakula does a great job with the emotional aspects and how he's discouraged by things, but he keeps trying, as well. And everyone understands this, an accident wasn't his fault, but there's kind of like the reality here. They're a ship without their captain. And T'Pol is going to have to kind of like step up here, So she's explaining things to him here. What's the next scene here? Oh, then she come back to the present, explaining more of the timeline. It's like, well, what happened? I thought you said we found the Xindi eventually. What was going on with that? And she's like, well, we did find them. And here we see they're getting attacked by all the different Xindi ships. This is where Mayweather dies. So I guess she explains this to him, but it's not actually part of the voiceover. So it's just like, Mayweather's dead and moving on. And
and Archer's like, who?
I just like, even I can't.
I think I might have had breakfast with him one time.
I can't even help think about the episode like Year of Hell, like from Voyager, where or there was that one where Kes was kind of jumping through timelines, and at one point she jumps into the Year of Hell because she starts in the future and she's going back through time. If you guys remember that episode,
try to forget about Kes.
But even in that one, like, B'Elanna Torres and Janeway get killed, and it's like, it's not yada yada. It's like they talk about how that affected the crew, how that affected Tom Paris, because at the time he was in a relationship with B'Elanna Torres, and how the crew had to move on. But because this is Mayweather, it's just like whatever. And so we see like this other helmsman gets involved. Meanwhile, they're getting boarded by all these Xindi who are coming through. We see a bit of a firefight here between the Xindi, mostly reptilians, it seems, fighting with the Makos. Some action scene here, but the Xindi are winning this fight. We see them just shooting crewmen all over the place. They, I guess what were they? I don't know what their goal here was with boarding the ship, other than maybe just to take it over. But they come into Archer's quarters here, one of these Xindi reptilians, and Archer attacks. He might not have long-term memories, guys, but he knows how to fight. This a water polo guy never loses it. So this fight's continuing. The gun gets dropped. I don't know. Archer is doing his best, and then he kills this Xindi with a Zephram Cochrane statue.
Is that what that was? Yeah, it was funny.
Is that like the miniature version of the one that Jody was talking about?
Yeah. Yes. That's the one where he's like, you're kind of reaching up to the sky, and you can kind of see it here. And that's you see the statue is also there in his quarters in like the on the planet in the future. But yeah, I guess this statue got partly damaged, and he's able to use it to kill this Xindi guy. And then they're still docked to the ship. What did you guys think of T'Pol's solution here? Because like they're getting overrun by the Xindi. The Xindi are attacking. They're coming around. So she's like, "Is the Xindi ship still docked with us?" They're like, "Yep." She takes the controls herself. Again, Mayweather's dead, and she just flies Enterprise while this ship's attached right into the other ship. In the process, though,
hey, you gotta do shit.
Or break some eggs. You gotta make an omelet.
That's right.
But in the process, they severely damage their starboard nacelle here, which Trip will give her some heck for in the next scene.
Yeah, well, Trip's alive because of her, so shut up.
Yeah. It seemed to work. And so they're kind of talking about the aftermath of all this. I think that what was it? Reed says like, well, we have 9 Xindi prisoners, but we only have the brig can only hold 2. And he's like, I don't know what to do with the rest. And Trip wants to throw them out the airlock.
Blow them out the airlock.
Blow them out the airlock, he says.
Seems like a logical plan.
But T'Pol's like, nah, I put them in quarters under heavy guard. I wonder what happened to those Xindi prisoners after everything, though, because they would have to eventually do something with them.
Did you notice back in Archer's quarters, the water polo ball was back on his shelf?
Yes, and it was also on his quarters on the planet. Yes.
Yeah.
They took it out of the wall. This guy here, I guess, this ensign we see, he's meant to be Mayweather's like replacement. I
already like him more.
Good looking guy.
He appears quite a bit in the episode after like the post Mayweather stuff. Who's Mayweather does say something in the earlier in the episode, but
nobody cares.
He's just clearly no one does care because they don't even mention it.
Nope, no one cares. Poor Mayweather.
Yeah, and so he's like, "What were you thinking? Flying that ship into that other ship and destroy my warp drive?"
Yeah, I would have liked just for her to like lose her shit on him. That would have been amazing.
She's like, "You can
just
call the admiral if you want."
She's like, "Yeah, why don't you give the admiral a quick call there, jackass?"
Yeah.
Explain to me how you were going to still be free after I didn't do this.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then come back to the future timeline, and this is where T'Pol says that after they destroyed Earth, they kept going. They eventually attacked all of your colonies, Mars, and anywhere else you had people. And he goes,
I do like the fact that in these scenes, like when she's dressed like this, if you notice, her posture is much more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is kind of neat, because if she's been taking care of him for like 10, 15 years or whatever it has been, she's now really accustomed to being a lot more relaxed around him instead of being constantly, the officer in front of him, right? So it's I like the fact that she portrayed that a little bit. It was subtle, but it was there, I thought. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's got a comfort level, a heightened comfort level with him in this time period.
Yeah.
But
she's probably had to like change his diapers and shit. So
perhaps,
but
we find out only 6,000 humans have survived,
which is horrifying when you think about that. Like that,
Well, and those are all the people that were probably not on Earth at the time. Like that's the only reason why they're alive.
No, because they went on to say that they went on to colonies and blew them up and killed them as well.
Yeah, they went after all the colonies.
Well, they started going around hunting them, right? So,
and this is where you get into the Battlestar Galactica, references. In my opinion, it's very similar to that. All of a sudden,
even with Battlestar Galactica, there was more than 6,000 people still alive. But
49,100 or whatever. I'm just joking.
Whatever it was.
It reminds me of an animated movie called Titan AE.
Yeah,
well,
have you ever seen that?
Yeah,
and I thought here just the reaction here from Archer is he comes to find out Earth's been destroyed. Like this idea that you're part of an endangered species, which is the line Zachary Quinto will say as Spock in the 2009 one, but that was years away. That hadn't come, and I think that this really plays out well in terms of the emotion here and the way Bakula plays this. And
you actually see some acting chops on Archer in this episode, which I think is like the man is able to act. Like we know he can because of some of his previous work. It's just he's been very restricted to what he's allowed to do on this show, right?
Well, so sometimes it's the way it's written. Yeah, for sure. And in
But,
this
but
next,
he's got an aloof style to him though too.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And
in the
by
next-
now, I mean, this is season 3. By now, he's got 2.5 seasons under his belt. He's created this character as he wants it. So when he shines like this, it's nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this scene too. I like the fact that we got to see all these like long range haulers and stuff like that all being
Again?
exported. Yeah.
this is
Battlestar
Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
You know.
Oh yeah. Well.
With the Enterprise serving as the Galactica of this little fleet. But we find out that there were other fleets too, other convoys that got attacked by the Xindi. So there were potentially more than 6,000 who survived just the destruction of Earth. But they were all kind of picked off, and the Xindi are on a full-blown genocide here. They're not going to stop until all the humans are gone. We go back to this flashback here, and guess who it is? It's
Asshole himself.
yeah, Soval, Gary Graham himself, where he comes back just to throw some insults at T'Pol.
Yeah, I like how he like walks in. He's like, that uniform really doesn't suit you.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah, but
well,
he backpedals very quickly here, guys.
He does.
Yeah.
He has to backpedal because she's not taking it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, he's like, I think it was a mistake to order you to leave because that made you make an impulsive decision, and you never should have happened, and you should come back to Vulcan.
Go back one. I still love those pictures.
Yeah.
That is such a cool thing to have in the ship. Anyway, sorry.
And what I find interesting about this whole conversation is, or what I'm left wondering about is, after this destruction of Earth and there's these human refugees, why didn't they go to Vulcan
Wow.
or
Are you-
Genoblia?
All right. When you're an orphan, do you want to go to grandma's house?
If there's someone trying to kill you, yes.
Well, yeah, but maybe the Vulcans were like, nah, we don't want you on the planet because then you're gonna bring the Xindi to us, and we don't
Well,
want
then
them.
they're not very good allies, are they?
Well, no, they never have been a good ally. I think that's part of the point, especially during this time. They're
This is
not
like a
good for-
refugee crisis. This is like
They're,
a
they're
major
better.
issue.
They're better later on in the years, but right now they're not that actually good of an ally. I think.
Because
So-
she's like, well, you would take Archer in. He's like, well, that gets you back. Then yes, but I was
But-
like, should like I don't know, like doesn't make when Vulcan was destroyed in the other timeline. It wasn't like those Vulcans couldn't come to Earth. Like it was. I know this is
No, but I
pre-Federation.
think the one thing I really like about this series is it shows how terrible the Vulcans actually can be, and here's another perfect example of it. Like it's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in them. That's all I'm gonna say. At least
Well,
it-
that's the worst thing possible is when
Yeah.
Dave Mater's disappointed in you.
yeah, I'm sure that will make them cry too if they knew that.
Yeah, but as an ally, though, they're still an ally. You figure that they, number one, would help, but when the Xindi attack them as well.
Well, unless they're not aware that they're allies at this point, which
Oh,
is possible.
maybe, but yeah, then we come here, this conversation here between T'Pol. Yeah, he goes, how is the Vulcans? Because he's like, I picked this window for a reason because it's got the best view. I can always see the ships that are coming.
It would have been better if he's like, the stars are going the wrong way.
We see
That
here
would've
that she's basically planning to resign. She kind of tells this to Trip. She's going to become the full-time caregiver to Archer. She feels like she owes him, especially for saving her life and preventing her from getting afflicted in the accident that started all this.
But
And so
this
Trip-
also shows you exactly how good of a character she is. Like it to Paul, like in the first season, you don't really get a good look at her, and as she goes through, you really do realize that she is probably one of the best people to have on your side. Like, even though she's clearly not been on Archer's side many times, especially the first season. So
yeah,
I think it's nice to see that as well.
Like,
Plus,
I
this
wonder,
also shows how Trip gets into the chair, right? So
right.
I wonder how she, like, if that was intentional. The evolution of her character, because she's really changed from the beginning versus others.
Yes, she maybe has the most of an arc of anybody.
Yeah.
she definitely is when I think of people who have matured on this show, like for the 4 seasons, she's definitely like the top one for me. Like there's other, like, I think Trip matures through the series as well a little bit better. But I think T'Pol is probably the most drastic arc because she starts off going like, basically, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, this is stupid. Right. And then she kind of,
and Archer doesn't want her there either. Right.
No, the two of them were butting heads halfway through the first season. Like, it's great to see that she's full circle, and now she's, she feels she's indebted to him. So,
like their relationship, even though he doesn't have these last 12 years of memories, like you can tell that these two are they're a strong captain first officer relationship.
Yeah, Sam asks, does Archer mature? I think he does.
So.
I especially in the fourth season. The fourth season, you really see a lot of not Archer from the first season. Archer from the first season is a cocky asshole who just wants to get shit done, and he doesn't care who he runs over.
Yeah, but you also had the arc of him being very vengeful and very angry until last week. Last week's episode where he finally came around and go, well, maybe not all Xindi are bad.
Well, we still get to see that anger through this season, though. There's still more of it, but I agree with you. There's definitely a change there, right?
Yeah,
he's got more perspective around things.
Yeah.
So Phlox shows up in the episode here to kind of talk about how they might have a cure for Archer. Like, he's been working on it. He comes up to Enterprise because the treatment they need a full warp engine.
Here's a question for you, Dave. You would know this one. How long have Vulcans and humans have known each other at this point?
Roughly 100 years. 102 years.
First contact was what? 118
first contact was in 2063. And so
this is 2022.
This is 2153.
2153. Yeah, okay.
But it started, so it's about 90 years. 90 to
there you go.
Or so. Long time. Fair amount of years.
I like how they aged aged Dr. Phlox, though. Did you notice that his face was a lot more roughed up?
Age spots.
It almost looks like he's been smoking or something.
It looks like they gave him greasier hair. That's kind of what
and longer hair.
Yeah,
greasier, longer hair. And Trip has a little bit more facial lines and stuff like that, and he's got like a little bit more of a musty hair to him.
Yeah,
and he's thinning. His hair is definitely thinning more. And
he's in the gold. He's in the gold pipe.
He's in the gold pipe at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And we also see here.
I like this little reunion scene here. I thought that was kind of nice to see, especially him and Hoshi. Because I've always felt like the two of them do have quite a bond, but we don't see a lot of it. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, and he goes, "Hey, where's Mayweather?" That doesn't come up.
No, that doesn't come up at all.
Yeah. Why was Mayweather? Sam, just to clarify, Mayweather his death is undone by the end of this episode.
Oh yeah, he's back in the next episode. So
yeah, basically at the end, like they changed time and none of this ever happened. But so we see here how they're going to eradicate the parasites using the warp engines and this special contraption that Phlox made. And then there was also this reception to kind of welcome Archer back to the ship, and they talk, here T'Pol's talking to him about it, how he left early, how it was all overwhelming for him.
They did a pretty good job on Archer's lines there too.
Yeah, no, it's good old age makeup. It's not too much, It's only
it's not extreme. Yeah,
it's only 12 years.
Yeah, so they might have even taken it too far for 12 years, but it was I get it, it's all good. Because if you looked at like a picture of Scott Bakula today, I don't even think he would necessarily look this old, and this was 20 years ago.
20 years.
The man's aging pretty good. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Oh, people always tend to age more than I guess you imagine them to when you have to create makeup for them, and when they get older. So
or the simplest way to do it is put like a goatee on, like they did with Malcolm there.
Malcolm, who we find out is about to get promoted. He's already a commander. He's about to become captain of the Intrepid.
How did that happen?
Just manpower shortages.
He has pictures.
Lack of staffing, lack of talent in the availability. It's
okay.
So we see here. Actually, one thing that really stood out to me is how Trip's uniform, his captain's uniform, it looks so shiny and new compared to everybody else's uniforms.
I like that though.
They probably just made it custom for this episode. You know?
Well, yeah, he wouldn't
I,
normally.
I was hoping in 12 years they come up with a new uniform, but when they don't have a plan anymore, I guess that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it goes out the window or out the airlock. Blast them out the airlock, as Trip would say. You know.
So then they
Oh, not the
basically
airlock.
determine that they have a way to kill the parasites that are in his head
With this radiation or
with this
something,
radiation,
using the warp engine. They got this guy. up
Seems
here.
safe.
Yeah. I don't know. Flock said so. So we see this facility.
If the radiation doesn't kill you, they'll be dead.
These parasites that are in his brain from this other extra dimensional non-time thing or something. We see it having an effect, but they say that they are like effectively erased here. We see in this brain scan, so it is working. He goes, "Hey, how come we're not? Wouldn't we just remove all of the parasites at once?" And Flock says, "Oh, I gotta test this out, but like it's either going to kill you or it's not. Like it's
Yeah, but it's just like when they give you a new medicine or something. A lot of times they say, okay, use a little bit just to
a small
see how
dose
your reaction
before the full
is.
dose.
Yeah, or for instance, if you're using a new lotion, rub it on a little tiny spot or something, just to find out. Same idea, I guess, but in a way, it kind of sets up the other surprise in the episode, which is essentially they go and figure out that it actually erases it from the scans, and that's how he figures out that it's actually related to time.
Erases it from history, kind of like that
Yeah.
Krenim weapon that could destroy, like erase an entire planet from history or whatever. Or an entire species. Yeah. So there's also this other scene here where Enterprise detects a small shuttle at the edge of this sun, and like they're like, well, let's hail them. Let's find out what they're doing. No answer. Well, let's chase them. And so they chase down this ship. They shoot it. They basically shoot its engines out.
I like how they're more of the aggressor now, though.
Yeah, well,
because
they're
like there's not many of
themselves.
them left. They're like, we gotta do something here.
The engines look cool on that ship, by the way. I like the
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very neat. I like that. The little kind of
interesting design.
Yeah.
So they I guess they bring him in with that grappler or whatever. And
greasy
here,
old Phlox is now looking at
Phlox.
stuff.
Greasy.
Yeah. Looking at the scan. Here's another
He's
shot
that
of
old
Phlox.
doctor nobody wants to have, right?
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna ship you back to Denova.
All right, this guy looks like he's about to retire. Like,
Oh god, I got the old guy again.
yeah, run like some kind of.
I like how they've made him look a little bit more frail, though. I think that's kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
that they
But
did
this
that.
whole thing about like he asks to Paul, but what about your relationship? Have you told Archer how you feel about him? Because I guess she's developed romantic feelings for him over this.
Well,
over
and
time.
this is the reason why I think this is all just a fever dream, because
This is where I began. I'd forgotten about this episode, and I was like, oh, please don't make this a dream.
I think it is a dream. But
No, it's not a dream, but it's I think that's why you want to make it a dream, because I think you're like, well, she can't be into the captain and also into Trip. That's like a love triangle, it's
Yeah, she's got lots of time, before she dies.
this is the whole like misdirection thing that they do sometimes. This is the whole, I guess maybe they're going to develop a relationship in the future. Nope.
I didn't need there to
I'm
be
going to
any
read it for you right now. Nope.
I think if they just, I don't think the scene or this dialogue was necessary, or
I don't think it was
changed
either.
it.
I agree. Yeah.
I think because I don't need that relationship to be romantic for it to be meaningful between Archer and T'Pol.
Yeah.
And so,
I would agree on that.
Anyway, we meet a Uridian, guys. That's who they brought in. That's who.
Love his makeup.
Yeah, we've seen Uridians before. They're information dealers, and they're kind of like
they're essentially the
aliens.
listeners of the universe, right? Like they're
not like El-Orians, but
No.
kind of more like information brokers and rogue spies, kind of like mercenary spies. So and Trip, he's now the captain. He's got some PTSD here. He's going at this Uridian because he's like, I'm going to throw you out the airlock. I'll throw Xindi out the airlock. I'll throw anybody out in the airlock. You watch, What's this comment? When developing the story for my Star Trek series idea, Star Trek Enterprise kind of hacks me off. I feel like this entire cluster frill should be treated as non-canon. Well, we've heard such things before, but I think that if you really go back and rewatch it there, Lockbeard, I think you'll find that there's a lot more to this show than maybe some of the fans ever appreciated, as Kevin and I in particular have found.
Yes, which is kind of something that I stress all the time, that we definitely didn't think we were going to get this outcome when we got you two on board. So,
well, like there are some boring episodes in this show. Absolutely.
100%.
But this is not one of them. And
I love his yell. His yell is amazing.
He's getting angry there. Holy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he
yeah,
really
like,
shows the anger too.
He said he was gonna cut up his shuttle. He wasn't gonna kill it. He was like,
I'm gonna cut up your shuttle into little tiny pieces
or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, and he admits this is where he says, oh, I was paid to follow the Denobling. He's specifically been hired by the Xindi, or Xindi hired somebody to hire him to basically find out if Phlox was going to leave, because if Phlox left, that may mean that they were going to cure Archer, and maybe the Xindi fear Archer. I'm not quite sure what was going on with that, but that's where we find out that they
might be aware that the parasites will eventually kill him, right? Like it's very possible. They didn't really tell us in this, but it couldn't be good having parasites in your head the whole time. Like it's
probably not.
It's going to do some long-term damage eventually. So
yeah, but I guess I'm trying to get into the heads of the Xindi Council and what they want now at this point, after they've already destroyed Earth and most of humanity. Are they just on the extermination train, or are they more fixated specifically on Archer and what Phlox is up to?
Yeah.
So
well, I think that's supposed to kind of leave us wondering, right? Like we don't have a definitive answer to that. So
because why would they care if Phlox ever left his homeworld? Why would that be a thing?
That gets more into the reason why they even put this in the episode.
Unless it was because they wanted Phlox led them to their secret planet. Like
maybe Phlox is a key player in this, or maybe
like he inadvertently, because they're like, well, if Phlox will lead us to wherever the humans are hiding, and that's what he does here, basically. Yeah. But he explains, like, hey, if we by removing these parasites from Archer's brain, they've been erased from history. They were never there.
Yeah, all the scans that he's done over the
last. This was a cool little thing, though. You got to admit, I don't think this has been done before. Like where everything's gone.
But this part is definitely unique, but there's a lot of parts of this episode that I think are reused from other Star Trek episodes.
Sure, but this was a nice surprise. I had forgotten about this.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
And I know I'm analyzing fake temporal mechanics that aren't real here, but just from a time travel standpoint, if by erasing this portion of the parasites and they were never in his brain, wouldn't at least his long-term memory have been less affected now in this shouldn't history have already changed?
Well, an infestation is an infestation. I think taking out some of them, and it's like taking out 1,000 ants out of an anthill, right? Like, yeah, you've slowed down a process, but you haven't really done anything that's going to really affect it too much. So the fact that these parasites are missing out of part of Archer's brain doesn't change the fact that he still has this condition. So
it didn't change history, at least.
No.
But if they had eradicated all of these parasites in the first go, then time would have just
in that scenario, if he never had it, then that would definitely change things. Yeah, I think.
Which is kind of what happens at the end, because he blows himself up at the end in order to change history, in order to kill the parasites, in order to erase them from history, in order to
very interesting ending for him on this episode.
And they explain this to Trip, Captain Trip. They're like, well, guess what, Trip? If we can cure the captain, this can all be undone. And Mayweather.
Trip's like, but then I won't be able to run this ship again.
Yeah, and he's like, I can't worry about this, and they're like,
He's like, the worst thing is you're gonna bring back Mayweather. Oh dear God!
Here we got Hoshi with the bob haircut.
Bob Hoshi.
Yeah.
Or better known as, I'd like to speak to your manager, Hoshi.
Karen Yoshi. Is that a Karen haircut? Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, it's kind of a Karen haircut. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we see the Xindi are here. They're here to fight, and so the fight is on. Trip.
This is one of the only episodes where I actually don't think Reed is that much of an annoyance.
No, well, doesn't have much.
He didn't really annoy me in this episode, which was good.
But right, he looked a little cooler. He was a little bit more smart. He's a captain now.
Yeah, well, and that's progression for him, right? So that's cool.
Yeah, we even see the Intrepid is one of the ships here that kind of like we see a few other Earth ships working together here with Enterprise, the ones that have survived this fight,
Which is
here.
rare in this series. You don't see a lot of other
Yeah.
ships from
Exactly.
the Federation, right? So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, the battle is continuing, and Archer, he wants to get up there.
Yeah,
help, because he's still got the thing here. We even see like here from the Intrepid's point of view. There's quite some interesting fights.
there's
going
a
on
lot
here.
of there's a lot of space scenes in this episode for sure.
Yeah. Like Archer's like, we'll take the Jeffries tube, but this battle is going on. This is the Intrepid, the ship that Reed was supposed to take over. He gets its nacelle kind of cut off here, and then she's like, they've been damaged. Tell them to fall back, and then the fight continues here.
And Reed the whole time is like, you broke my ship. I'm not going to get to go anywhere. I'm going to be flying around in circles at warp because I only have one.
Yeah, and so this is where Reed says, "Uh-oh, they're targeting the bridge.
They're targeting the bridge."
And this is a cool scene.
Great scene.
Yes.
For all the Star Trek nerds out there who have ever criticized, why would you put the bridge on
this
the top?
Is a perfect
It's the
example.
reason.
On the very top of a ship. This is the reason why you wouldn't want to.
100%. Yeah. This proves the theory that you shouldn't do this.
Yeah. They're taking shots.
That bridge should be just buried in the middle of that bloody hall. Like it should be buried.
And they blow the lid off of it, literally.
Oh yeah.
And this always amazed me watching this, like even going back, like seeing, like you can see some of the people.
People are flying out and everything.
Flying out of the ship.
It's great.
All these characters we just saw, they're dead instantly, pretty much.
Gone. Yeah.
We even see like the wow, it still sticks with me. This is one of the coolest shots they've ever done.
Well, and if you actually look hard, you can actually make out what a lot of this is, right? Like you can see where the the helm is and stuff like that, and things are bent up and stuff like that. So
you can see
cool.
Reed Station, and he's not there anymore.
I have to give him props. This is fantastic for them.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
It really plays out. We see the bodies flying out too. Like,
you can even see the consoles on the side. And you can still see
who is this?
That might be Phlox. We don't know, but
was he on the bridge?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't on the bridge.
That might be Hoshi. Hoshi
and or somebody.
And
Reed.
Reed.
Probably Reed. Yeah. If you scroll in enough, you might be able to see his beard. But but I like the fact that like the red alert lights are still on and stuff like that. Like that's
Read alert.
Cool. Read alert.
And so they're going up here, and he goes, "Oh, the bridge is gone."
It's like, "Oh, bridge is missing."
Yeah, no bridge. Interesting. So they're like, "Well," she's like, "We got to get to
Paul in the back of her mind's like, "See, I told the Vulcan Council that they should have told them that, but they didn't listen."
Yeah.
They insisted on putting these bridges on the top of the damn saucer section. I don't get it.
We see here that the Xindi are now using transporter beams. They're not just relying on docking to board the ship, and they just beam in here and they just shoot these.
Well, they probably learned from the last time, because the last time, T'Pol basically flew them into one of their own.
Right.
So
they kill a lot of people. It's not looking good here for the Enterprise crew as this continues. All they have to do is try to kill Archer's brain parasites in time. But while they're down here in engineering Phlox, and Archer tries to tell them, get away. They're only trying to kill the humans, but Phlox and T'Pol are not going to run away here.
No.
But you like here when the Makos are fighting here, and then like down the corridor, and these Xindi are just like, oh well, we can just completely flank them here. And that's exactly what they do. Just shoot them inside.
Watch your flanks, guys. Holy cow.
No, I don't know.
Those Makos.
Yeah, they're down for the count.
Sometimes you just wonder.
Yeah, it's not going well here. Even Phlox there firing a phase pistol and taking out some Xindis. There he goes.
Kevin had to go get a family member.
Yeah, pick him up from work. It's snowing here today. Big snowstorm.
Yeah, big snowstorm. So a little bit harder to get people home.
Yeah. They're still jammed up on Lakeshore here. For the Skyway had a car broken down, in the middle lane, and it's been chaos.
Oh.
2 hours from
My
Markham.
wife should have been home 90 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, no, it's like just be glad you don't live in like Grimsby.
She got
or
stuck in
somewhere.
Lowville. She couldn't get up the hill in Lowville.
Yeah.
So took her
It's-
forever to get up.
How
that
much
hill.
snow are we getting? Like it's only a few centimeters, I think, but it's enough to cripple the city. So
Well, it's also the fact that we had rain on top of that. So
Yeah, it came
that's
fast.
really killing it. Yeah, it just bombarded us. Yeah. So, but anyway, as
Oh,
long
yeah.
as everybody gets home safe, that's the key.
guys, we forgot to mention that Phlox also dies here. He falls off this catwalk.
Yes.
and-
Oh, poor old Fox.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes, Floxy, are you okay, Floxy? No, Floxy, not okay. So this fight continues while T'Pol gets the reactor ready, while they're trying to power it up. She gets shot. She gets shot in the back here, so she starts to die. Well, just lots and lots of like the Xindi don't know that they're trying to change the past. So I
Well, we assume that we don't actually know.
we don't like. I just find some things interesting. Maybe they have information from the sphere builders.
Maybe
but,
that's the reason why they're going after Phlox.
But since none of that was explained, I have to just kind of wonder. Yeah, and so they're attacking it, but like in the way that they destroyed the bridge, they can just destroy all of Enterprise as well. You know, like they didn't have to board the ship. I guess is what I'm saying here necessarily. Yeah. But as Archer gets shot in the back here and he starts to die just in the nick of time, he's able to power this thing up, which is going to kill the brain parasites, that is going to change the timeline. But you know, as this is happening, we see Enterprise destroyed. Like I was just saying, like they're about to destroy the ship anyway. So why the boarding parties? Why? You know, but who can get into a Xindi's head? And yeah, we see Enterprise destroyed, which didn't matter as much to me as watching Earth get destroyed. I have to admit, in the beginning of the episode.
Well, a ship versus an entire planet. Yeah. Obviously, there is a difference there.
Yeah. You know, and
but that's also the reason why I think that this is actually in. You know, this is just in his head.
Logbeard says there has to be at least 3 times, quite possibly 3 universes created by this time manipulation.
Oh, absolutely, could be.
The timey-wimey of it all is quite something.
Indeed.
And yeah, we got him waking up here. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine, you know, because to them, like he was never infected basically by this, because so. You know, she's like, I told you to leave me behind, you know, and not, you know, and he says, well, fortunately, I don't take orders from you.
Fortunately, I don't take orders from you.
She gives him Rosemary's Baby
Not
to
yet.
watch. Not yet. Oh, and this, you know, can you give me a pillow? Where's
Turn down the lights.
Yeah.
Well, and I like at the end. She's
Oh, would
just
you
like,
mind bringing me another pillow?
Yeah, she's just like, is there anything else you need? You know,
Yeah,
kind of like anybody who has a wife who, you know, when you go in bed and they're already in bed and they're like, can you fill up my water? You know, same idea.
Right. You know,
That
You'd make a
slight
wonderful
annoyance.
nurse.
Yeah.
You
make a wonderful nurse. She's like, go to hell.
She's like, seriously, you're degrading me. Go.
I
fuck
was maybe the
yourself."
greatest captain the ship ever had in an alternate timeline minutes ago. And
I agree.
And that's the episode. So it's all very much undone, but obviously Archer remembers what happened, right? To him, like he can
Well,
remember.
sometimes you remember dreams.
So does he remember it as a dream, or does he remember it as real?
I don't
That's
know.
left open-ended. I think that's maybe why you're thinking, was it a dream? Because if Archer does have those memories of what we saw in the episode, that's giving him a ton of knowledge that he can now use to try to stop things, right? You know, like at least a little bit. Anyway, so that's the episode. Adam, do you have some fun facts for us?
I do. You know, fun facts. Okay.
Adam.
Thank you, Jody.
No problem.
Okay, according to Mike Sussman, the story was originally pitched as an episode for Voyager, actually, with Janeway being the afflicted captain and Chakotay being as her caretaker. It was my attempt at writing a love story for these two, but I couldn't sell to the Voyager producers on that idea. It turned to work better with Archer and T'Pol's story anyway. The background, with the background of the Xindi War, upping the stakes.
No, I'm glad they didn't do it with Janeway and Chakotay, just because Voyager did a similar episode with Cass, like where
Yes.
her memory was affected and things. I feel like it would have felt too similar to that.
Well, and on top of that, you've had so many episodes of Voyager where Chakotay and Janeway don't get along, or they have conflicting things to do. So I think that would just be overkill.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not that much of a fan of Voyager to begin with, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Okay, a timeline and page on the front of the script explains that there was 4 time periods. They are the present, which was the 2153, the very new future, which was 2154, and the near future, which was mid 2155, and then the 12-year in the future timeline with 2165. So they had a lot going on in this episode. Responding to criticisms of the use of the reset button at the end of the episode, Sussman commented, "I wanted Archer to talk to Paul to take away something from the experience too. But to me, it would have been a cheat to do that. Archer doesn't get to be thrown back in time when the parasites are destroyed, as the writers simply decided to cut back to the point of the departure where his life had changed. So that way he would, so why would he remember its future events in the alternate reality? Are the alternate reality something that hasn't happened yet?" And so, lots going on there. We basically walked away thinking, not really sure what happened, right? I mean, that's how you guys feel.
I guess I'm only left confused. Like, what does Archer remember or not? Like, it's not, because if it was all reset and none of that is remembered, and only us as the audience can remember, that's fine. But the fact that he says you make a wonderful nurse makes a weird sense of, like, it confuses it. Just makes it seem like it could have been like he does remember.
But I think her reaction also shows us that she doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, she doesn't. I fully accept she doesn't remember.
So that even more leads me to believe that this is more just a fever dream. But again, I guess you go either way on it.
I don't think it's a fever dream. I'm confused as to what Archer remembers.
So did you guys catch where the colony was built on?
Yes. Oh, but there was a chance for life.
In City Alpha 5, there was life. A fair chance. This is City Alpha 5.
Exactly. And selecting Ceti Alpha 5 as a setting for this episode, Mike Sussman was influenced by Wrath Khan, of course. The choice was his, basically a cruel joke on the part of Sussman. Even if the human survivors managed to escape the detection of the Xindi, the planet would have been made uninhabitable a little over 100 years later when Ceti Alpha 6 explodes.
Yeah, as Khan tells us.
Ceti Alpha 6 exploded 6 months after we were left here. The shock shifted the orbit of this planet, and everything was laid waste. It was only the fact of my genetically engineered intellect that allowed us to survive.
I always thought it's only our genetically engineered intellect that allowed us to survive.
You task me.
It's still one of the all-time great performances.
Oh my God, the best.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, although not acknowledged in dialogue, O'Shea sports the lieutenant's bars on her uniform in the future. She's also carrying a book to give Archer. In a line deleted from an earlier version of the script, she hands Archer the hardcover and says, "The Vonnegut collection for you asked for." And when he reacts puzzled, she says, "I know you don't remember asking for it, but trust me, you did." And then Archer responds, "Look forward to reading it 20 or 30 times. So there you go. Another one, Enterprise shepherding a ragtag fugitive fleet to a new home after the destruction of Earth was a homage to by writer Mike Sussman to Battlestar Galactica. He had read a bootleg copy of the pilot script for the reimagined series prior to writing Twilight. So I don't know how I feel about that. Personally, I like it. I guess I do like it because I really love Galactica.
Me too. But is it a bit of plagiarism?
I don't think they did enough with it, Dave, to make it real plagiarism. I think you'd have to know. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Captain Archer's condition may be inspired by the real life story of Henry Molaison, I guess. In 1953, after attempt to cure him for epilepsy, he had 2/3 of his hippocampi and then a bunch of other parts of his brain removed. From that point on, he had no ability to commit new facts to long-term memory. for each subsequent day until his death in 2008. People had to explain to him, like DePaul does for Archer, what date it was and what happened since 1953. And, I mean, listen, one of my first jobs I ever had, I worked in a long-term care facility, and this lady had Alzheimer's, and every day she had to be told that her husband died for years. It was very sad to watch. So
yeah, I had to go into nursing homes at one point. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. Let's just move on here real quick. A scene with the H. Porthos, 12 years older, was shot for future sequences, but didn't make it to the final show. I would have liked to have seen that. In the present scenes, a scene was cut where at movie night where Archer told Paul about Porthos being stressed, and he might benefit from neuropressure. And Dave, I'll leave it here because we're going late here. But Archer's gray hair is actually a trim version of one of the earliest test wigs for Saval.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's kind of.
It looks like it would go onto him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
The actors embraced this, theorizing that after many years of living together on a planet, T'Pol was now cutting Archer's hair, hence the slightly Vulcan style.
Right. Makes sense.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Actually.
Well, one more fact I might throw in here is just the director of this episode, Robert Duncan McNeil, Tom Paris himself.
I told you, we're secret agents.
Exactly. All right, let's
That
go.
must have been a hard episode to jump into to direct, though, because there's a lot going on in that.
He's directed before though. He's directed.
Oh yeah, he has. Yeah,
at least once. No, twice.
I think a couple times. Yeah,
at least twice before. So
this show is basically directed. Almost every episode is directed by somebody from at least Voyager or.
It's either Michael Dorn, Robert Duncan McNeil, LeVar Burton, Roxanne Dawson.
You get
and
a
there's
lot of
David Livingston and some of these classic Star Trek directors.
Yeah.
David Straden and
exactly. Yeah.
So okay, Twilight. Jody, what do you give this episode?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
9. Adam?
I'm giving it a 9 as well. Listen, this is why I love talking to you guys, because as we go on, I like the episode better and better. And so
I came in thinking 7.5.
Yeah, actually, I was in the 7 range myself. So good episode tonight.
I'll go 9.5 for me.
Yeah.
And
this might be one of the higher rated episodes for us.
Yeah, I don't know if Davin gave a rating or not. I don't see anything. So I will we'll leave it there. 9.4. Yeah, this will certainly be one of our highest rated episodes. Has an 8.6 on IMDb, pretty high even for this season. And Sussman wrote it, as we mentioned in Fun Facts. Different timelines. Yeah.
A lot of dates on that one.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of I always have the year, and I'm like, well, they jumped.
But let's take a trip into the future, Dave. Let me tell you what the next week's episode is.
An alternate timeline, or is
no, but kind of goes back actually in a way. The next episode is North Star. This is the cowboy episode. Because you have to have at least one cowboy episode in every Star Trek series. So Archer and the crew try to discover why a 19th century era human settlement has been placed in the middle of the expanse.
Because they need this storyline. Oh my goodness.
Is this one of those filler episodes we don't need?
Yes.
To be quite honest, I actually am okay with this episode.
I don't like these cowboy episodes.
This is probably one of the better ones out of Star Trek.
Is this like Way of the Gun? Right, but Enterprise's version?
No. It's they dress up as cowboy type era because obviously they want to fit in with everybody that's in the settlement, right? So it's one of those, but
it's like a first contact kind of thing, or
they find a human settlement in the expanse that happens to be
Cowboys.
It's 19th century, right? So it's everybody's kind of like that. So it's
late 19th century.
I think it's an interesting episode personally, but anyway, it is what it is.
Maybe I'll think so too.
But Dave, you know what's more interesting than North Star?
What's that?
Lots of things.
All the other podcasts that we have on this channel.
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, Jody. We have some great content here on Live Long and Podcast. A whole community of Star Trek podcasters doing some amazing things. We have various divisions, including, of course, Enterprise here. So if you see the red symbol, that means that's like a TV or movie review where we're talking about an episode like we did tonight.
Where the cool kids are.
It's where on Tuesdays we talk about Deep Space Nine. We have an ongoing series there. Tomorrow we're talking about In the Pale Moonlight. One of the best episodes of Deep Space Nine. We'll be reviewing that tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree. That is a
Deep Space Nine
fantastic
rewatch
episode.
And then later on this week, Thursday, we'll be on to talk about the newest episode of Star Trek Picard, which is now going into episode 3. It's going to be called 17
I
Seconds.
may be here, I may not be. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, so we'll be on with a lot of the same crew here from Enterprise. Also, check out, if you see a blue symbol, that's our science division. That's usually a Davin podcast, and he's doing trivias or debates or probes and different things. We also have our ops division.
He likes to probe.
He likes to probe. We have our ops division, which
prober.
does things like play video games like Star Trek Online, but also we have Star Trek Radio Theater, which we're looking to do our next edition, a live recording based on a Star Trek Lower Decks IDW miniseries that Davin found. This isn't an actual episode, but I think that'd be a ton of fun to bring into like an audio format like this. I'm going to be playing Dracula. Yeah, that's right. This Star Trek story has a Dracula, and we're going to see how this plays out. We got various live long and podcasters in various roles here. Adam, you're going to be an admiral.
I saw that. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. And Jody, you're going to be Steven Stevens.
I'm in this?
Yeah, you're in this.
Oh.
March
Did you see
9th,
yourself
Jody.
there?
Oh, I'm Steven Stevens. All right.
You're Steven Stevens. So, and lastly, of course, check out Locutors a Track. If you see this with the Deep Space Nine, that's like our live long and podcast Locutors a Track, where they do long format audio. That's Dave and Davin, Dave Pugsley, that is. Yeah, all kinds of great stuff here on Live Long and Podcast. Plus, we're part of a federation of podcasts that various shows. Like last night, we had Trivial Debates. We had Eamon hosting with Davin and Jessica and Jody competing in this love-themed one. It was a lot of fun. Really good episode. Check that one out on Trivial Debates.
You're being kind, but anyway.
Yeah. There's KBBL every Friday, or sometimes the last week they did on Thursday, where Davin and Baker and Francis talk about a Simpsons episode. There was something early on in the chat where Sam wanted me to ask him a question about KBBL, and it was so long ago. Is Davin here tonight? Because I want to have a question about him from KBBL. Wait, when is the? I don't know. I'm not sure what your question was, Sam. But if you had a question for KBBL, let me know. Also, there's the Super Mater Brothers podcast.
They're brothers.
We are brothers. Which talks about television primarily. Tomorrow we're going to be on with Survivor. Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday. We're doing the Survivor 44 episode 1 coverage. We've already done our cast preview here. We're going to see all of this play out. We got 3 tribes. It's going to be 18 castaways. A lot of fun. If you want to know about Survivor, check out the Super Mater Brothers podcasting channel, which also loves to talk about things like. Well, we'll see. I don't know. If you're right, then Jeff wins the draft. The Mary Mater Marvel Society, which we did our Marvel or MCU reactions. I just did that with Davin and Jaemeel over on Super Mater Brothers one, doing Quantumania, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, their new movie. And speaking of that, the X-Rated podcast on Tuesdays with Davin and Andre, where they talk about X-Men the Animated Series. Andre's other podcast, the Graphics History podcast, a long format audio podcast where he interviews people. Michael Chan from the Hellbound podcast was just on there, another Federation podcast, a horror podcast, and often featuring on Star Trek Radio Theater is Michael Chan. So yeah, like lots of different podcasts. Hold Up is another one we do where we talk about movies. That's Davin and Murphy. They're going to be on this Wednesday talking about journalism movies, including Nightcrawler and a few others. Check that out on Wednesday, every second Wednesday with those guys. And I think that's everything, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm curious about Lockbeard, though, because he's mentioning he's writing a Star Trek series. I'd be interested to know more about that.
Sure.
So.
Well, Lockbeard, if
maybe you can contact us.
Maybe we'll do it one day as a Star Trek Radio Theater.
There you go.
Just like we're doing
fun.
with the IDW. This one's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. Waiting to hear.
It's so much fun. I didn't know I was going to be in it.
Exactly. Well, that's how you got to talk to your agent. So
it's true. It's true. I'm a busy guy, Dave. You know, I got agents here and agents there, and a wife, and yeah, that's the bigger problem.
All right. Well, guys, I think we'll leave you here with a quote, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being with us here on Live Long and Podcast for Enterprise at 8. See you next time. All right, and I'm gonna go with this one.
Did everyone get their own ship while I was gone?
Yeah. See you next time.
Not Dave.